This is Unexplained America, and I'm your host, Lisa. And today I have a very special episode. This is an OG Scary Heifers episode with OG Amber.
OG Amber.
Say
Wow.
hi.
Okay. Hi.
So OG people will appreciate this episode, especially if you were a member of the Patreon, because that's where we released the Scary Heifer movie reviews. And today we are talking about the original Omen, the
Yes.
Omen,
The OG of
the
scary movies
the
that are
Omen.
about satanic panic.
Yes.
So,
Yes, and so
yeah.
much more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the times that we have said satanic panic on this show, I think I've lost count. So,
Yeah, it was a lot. Well, very early we covered West Memphis 3. So
yep.
it was Satanic Panic and your favorite thing to discuss, Bojangles.
I love to eat at Bojangles. Oh my gosh. We just got
So
one in Searcy, and I go
yes,
there like once
tell
every couple
them.
of weeks. Yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's literally a gas station Bojangles. It's
mhm.
very nice and new. Uh it's is it considered Jetsonia? I guess it's Jetsonia.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
anyway, what is that exit? 48,
Yeah.
49 for people. If you love Bojangles, I'm going to do a plug. I'm not even making money off this, but like go eat at Bojangles. Oh, and inside, have you eaten at the Sabaros inside the gas
Of
station?
course. Like,
Okay. I
yeah.
haven't. I haven't been in there. So I will. I will. I promise. I love Sabaros. Like, remember the mall Sabaros? Oh,
Mhm.
goodness. We are so off track already.
I know. I
Okay.
know. But
Okay, we got to reel this in a little
I
bit.
was
This
gonna
has,
talk about the Bow biscuits at Bojangles, but we'll save
okay.
that for another day.
Yeah, we'll
Okay.
save that.
So yes, we are resurrecting from the dead, I guess. Scary heifers.
Scary.
Um yes, and kind of to celebrate. I think this is kind of a celebration, getting to podcast again. I've kind of been off grid, off the podcasting scene. So this is fun getting to do this again. It's been a crazy couple of years. So very happy to be here. And
Okay.
I love talking about movies.
I
That is
know.
my
It's
favorite
our
thing.
favorite thing to go do. Go see a movie. In fact, there's some movies out that I want to see. So you owe
Yes.
me a movie date. So Amber's my movie date. So
Yes.
and our
My
friend
husband
Sherry.
hates to go to the movies, and so Lisa is my forever movie date.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
make sure. I'm so paranoid this isn't recording. I've done that before. So the Omen, we're gonna just talk about like the facts, just real fast.
Mhm.
And then we're gonna get into all the crazy. But the Omen came out in 1976. It was featured as, and I love this, horror slash mystery.
Oh, I believe that because the whole second half is this mystery
Hmm.
movie of Gregory Peck figuring things
Hmm.
out, and
Hmm. Yes, and it came out. Literally, they started issuing it out, and you'll understand why when we get into it. And if, obviously, we're going to get into spoiler alerts because this movie
yeah.
came out in 1976, and you've had plenty of time to see it. So,
I was gonna
anyway,
say, they haven't seen it by now,
50
so
years. So, it came out June 6th. They did screenings June 6th. They put it out June 6th. I'm going to say that again, of 1976 on purpose. And it's an hour and 51 minutes. I mean, that's a long horror movie considering most are kind of like, but it doesn't even feel that long to me. It does have an exceptional cast, exceptional director. I'll let you talk about the director. Um, but Gregory Peck was in it. We'll talk about a lady named Lee Remick who she did a lot of movies. So we'll talk about that. And the David Warner, I think it's Warner. I can't read my handwriting, but he played Jennings, the photographer, and he just passed away in 22. Like David Warner was in everything. Remember him in Titanic?
yes.
I love him. Anyway, so and we'll talk about Damien's character played by Harvey Spencer Stevens, and you talk about the director.
Okay. So let's back up and talk about how it started before the director was chosen. Um, I have it in my notes. My notes are all over the place. So let me see if I can back
Started
up.
with
It kind
the
of started with this producer named Harvey. Bernhard, not Weinstein, so everybody calm down. Producer
Before
Harvey,
Weinstein.
yeah, before. So this producer named Harvey Bernard, I guess he had heard about a story. Well, I don't know. It was a conversation about biblical prophecies, and he had heard somebody talking about the Antichrist is what it all boils down to. And so he thought that that would be a um he thought that would be a good idea for a movie. So he hired a man named David Seltzer to actually write the screenplay first. And then after the success of The Exorcist, like we talked about, off camera, um, after the success of The Exorcist, everybody was trying to figure out how to get one of those really financially successful horror movies, and
Like
they
replicate that.
replicate it, yes. And so David Seltzer then wrote the screenplay. And then a fun little fact, before the movie came out in 1976, it was actually written, or it was actually developed into a book. And the book was a marketing ploy, basically. So the book
After
was
the
really,
fact.
well, after the screenplay and before the movie. So it was kind of sandwiched there in the middle. So as far as the director, it was directed by Richard Donner, and before this, he had
Not part of the Donner
not
Party.
part of the
Sorry.
Donner Party, right? But he had mostly worked in television, and then I guess The Omen would be what you would consider Donner's breakout movie, because he became a household name, after that, because he directed Superman and The Lethal Weapons. And then, of course, he directed Goonies, which is my favorite. um, Now, for the Omen movie, wanted more of a mystery, like Lisa said, and a psychological thrill ride, which I believe he accomplished that in The Omen.
Yeah.
There's not just a whole lot of gore in this movie, but it is still, in my mind, very disturbing. It's got a lot of things in it that are just downright scary. Even if it's not bloody, gory scary, it's still very scary.
Mm.
And so he had said that what he wanted audiences to think about is whether or not there was actual evil in this Damien child. So
Mhm.
so
And
yeah, so that's Donner.
and
And you've got
how did they come up with the title? Do you know? Because
the
I didn't see that.
I did not find how they came up with the title The Omen.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah, I
I
didn't
don't
see anything about that. But when
I
it
mean, I
was
don't think bad
released,
omens.
yeah,
I mean, how much of Revelations have you read? Like,
most of it, but not in a while. So
right, right. A lot of this, and I don't think they really spent a lot of time reading Revelations for this movie, but a lot of this is based on, these prophecies in the book of Revelation, or their spin on them, how an
yeah,
antichrist is going
well,
to come. Because
yeah.
what is it that they say in the movie? They do quote the Bible a couple of times, don't they?
I think
Yeah,
so. I watched it like we planned to do this like uh 4
3 months ago. Yeah.
yeah, so I watched it then and then made my notes.
Yeah. Well,
But
we've
yeah,
both seen it several times, and then we went and saw that prequel movie at the
yes.
theater. When was that? When did we see that?
Oh, I don't know. When it came out, like
Couple of years
it,
ago?
yeah, yeah. Like right when it came out, we were at the movies. We are like, oh yeah, and it was so. Remember that scene? It was so gruesome. But anyway,
Yeah.
it
That one
was
was,
good.
yeah.
It was good. I enjoyed it. Well, we'll do a quick before we get further. We'll do a quick just rundown of the movie and
Okay.
just basically, obviously, again, it's been out for 50 years.
Yeah.
You've had plenty of time to go watch it, but if you've not seen it, if you're a young person, you definitely need to see this. Or if you saw the remake, which is what 2006, I think, you definitely need to go back and watch the 70s because to me the 70s was like the it time for like horror movie for multiple
Mhm.
reasons. But basically I love how it starts. It's starting like in Rome, and of course it's got Gregory Peck, who, you know,
So yummy.
so you think yummy. I just think like, I mean, he was Atticus Finch. I mean,
That's why I think he's so handsome and
I mean,
so
he's just a great star. And it's interesting because we'll get into him, but like it starts out and his wife's having a baby and he's like an ambassador.
Mhm.
And, all of a sudden you see where they tell and it's like at a, what? It's like priest and nun. So it's like a Catholic hospital or something.
I
You're
what
in
I
Rome. Is
what I
everybody
heard
Catholic?
yeah, I think it's some kind of Catholic hospital, and then, it starts out with the child secretly, being adopted after the stillbirth of,
Well, they're
um
told, yeah,
it yeah,
yeah.
they're told that
She lost the
Remick
baby, and
yeah,
then there's another baby who lost its mom, and
so
so they
it
do
might
the
have
whole
been Remick
switcheroo on the
yes.
mom. So Gregory Peck, he knows, but like the mom doesn't, and so he's gonna lie to his wife,
Yeah,
and
so
that's where it all starts.
yes, and so in my mind, Robert Thorne, which is the name of Gregory Peck in this movie.
Mhm.
So this whole movie starts out on a lie, which is, one of the seven deadly sins, right? So the whole
Mhm.
thing starts out on a lie. And,
Yeah.
Catherine has no idea throughout this whole movie that this is not her biological child, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, it starts out on to me on the sin of lying, and even though I think his heart was in the right place, and in other
Mhm.
circumstances, a child needs a mom, a mom has lost their child. I mean, I could see that working,
I can see
but
that. And really the reason why he lied was she had made it very clear she wanted her own child. That was like so important to her for some reason.
yeah.
Like,
Oh, and did you know that Gregory Peck's son, this is so sad. Oh my gosh. But Gregory Peck, his son died before this movie. I think of like a suicide or something like that. And so part of his choice, and this is, through the grapevine, he had said, that he took this movie because of the hard situation he had just been through, I guess. So,
that's
but
horrible.
yeah, I know.
Mm.
Um, but he is a very good actor, and
Yeah.
he's one of those people that you look at him and you're just like, "Oh man, I would really trust this dude if I knew him in real life." He just has that air about him. I like him
Yeah.
a lot. And then
Yes.
Lee Remick, I don't know that much about her. She played Catherine Thorne. Um, I'm trying to think of something else she's been in, and I
Mm,
can't offhand think of anything.
yeah.
Um, yeah.
She
And
had a
then
lot of films and even yeah, but yeah, I can't nothing that stood out to me that I had
yeah.
seen. But we'll talk about actors in a minute because we have a lot there. So, okay, so about the movie though, like basically when is it when he turns 5 or 6? I mean, it makes sense that it's 6. But is it like his fifth birthday, I thought? And
Let me
when things start getting like
notes.
wild.
Well, things were because you remember when he was like a toddler, things were a little bit weird before, but it wasn't until that birthday party where they had the
Oh,
carousel and all
he
that
was
that it started.
5.
Yeah.
5. And oh, okay. So, yes. So what happened was, I guess the Star of Bethlehem, there was like a whole thing going on, and you see like in the background, there's like clips of like, I mean, you're getting kind of the illusion that this kid is like interesting, but yeah, he turns 5 at this party, and that's when things just kind of explode. Bad
Mhm.
things start. His nanny, jumps off the house and you know calls out to him, Damien. For I did it for you or something. I mean, and then but just the bad stuff starts happening, and then you kind of realize, that he is evil and that he like the whole you find out about the switcheroo. He's like the antichrist. Gregory Peck's finding out, but even Catherine, she thinks that this is her son. She doesn't know the backstory, and even she's like something weird is going on. And basically he ends up killing everybody, and he ends up living and going on. And this guy, so Robert Thorne
Yeah,
is like,
didn't Mrs. Baylock, didn't she kill the mom?
yeah, well, he could
That's all
remember.
because of him.
Yes, yes. Yeah, his new quote unquote nanny, there's like this whole realm of people working for the Antichrist in the background that are helping him, and they secure his situation. But Robert Thorne was friends with the president. So at the end of the movie, it's like you see Damien kind of being put in a powerful position, blah, blah, blah. So it's kind of like, okay, the Antichrist comes, they put him with this ambassador guy, through the lie, and Robert Thorne finds out that they had killed his actual real son. It's just a whole thing. Like, it is insane, like everything that ends up happening in this movie. But I think
Mhm.
it was, I mean, you kind of, it felt very Exorcist with all the archaeological stuff and all the
Yeah.
religious stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it definitely felt, I don't know, like that to me.
Hmm.
But I'm going to talk about specific scenes or the act.
Sure.
What you want to do?
Oh, well, what do you want to start with? I don't care.
Whatever you want to.
So we can start with the very first scene. Well, we've kind of already talked the baby switch. That was just such a sad scene to me. It just broke my heart. And then, when you're first, you got that montage of a happy little family, right? And, looking at the ducks on the pond, and you're like, oh, what a sweet little family, you know. But I think it's the devil. Um, so and then after that, things start unraveling. We get to the craziest birthday party ever. I mean, how much do you think that birthday would have cost in today's dollars? I mean,
And
they had a merry-go-round
um I mean,
there.
in today's dollars, that was like a Kardashian birthday party. Yeah. They they probably, like, what do you think? A couple 100,000 depending on where you're at. I mean,
But
it
who
was
has
it was a carnival. It was like, and this is
yeah.
76, and remember they had like this whole bounce thing, like
Yeah.
a bounce thing, ponies,
Huh.
did they have juggling? I mean, it's like a
Carousel.
circus going
Yeah,
on. It
we
was
were in the 80s, we were lucky if we got a slip and slide,
Yeah,
you
I mean,
know?
I had a birthday party, I think one time at just McDonald's, and that was excitement. Or like, oh, back in the day it was called Showbiz. Like Chuck E. Cheese was called Showbiz. And if you had like a Showbiz birthday, that was
Mhm.
like legit or something. When Elle
Yeah.
was growing up, we went to Gym Stars.
Yeah,
But
I remember having some gym star birthday parties in
But it
our
was like, I mean, this kid, Damien, got like the full, I don't even know. Like, he had a Kardashian birthday party for sure.
family.
So, minus the skims on everybody. If
Uh,
you know, you know.
yeah.
Elle was on a kick of watching the Kardashians, and oh my goodness. Now we're on the Chrisleys, by the way, the Chrisleys.
Oh, I don't think I've ever seen an episode of that.
Of the Chrisleys?
Yeah, yeah.
I
Eh,
it,
okay, so
I'm
let's
sorry. I'm just thinking of
no,
Nanny
it's okay.
Faye and
I'm
Todd.
just I'm trying to think because I don't want to do a scene by scene because
Mm-hmm.
there's just
So
too much. It's an hour and 50 something minutes.
yeah,
But
it's a long movie.
but let's just say the first first quarter of the movie is getting to know this little family, and there's still a little bit of uneasiness about the boy, but you've got this lovely, happy couple, and they got their little child, and then at the birthday, that is kind of the nanny's has some issues supposedly, blah blah blah, and that's why that happened. And then Baylock shows up, and she's like the
The new
worst,
nanny,
scariest nanny
like
ever.
like the nanny that they come to realize they didn't. She says she was sent from an
Yeah,
agency, so of course she's evil or whatever.
yeah.
But
Anytime they say, "I'm from the agency,"
the agency sent me. Nobody
yes, that is. And then how
send him
does the
away.
dog show up?
I
How,
think that remember, I think that dog showed up. It's just a black. Is that a Rottweiler? Is that a
Rottweiler,
Rottweiler
but
dog? It's
where
like,
did it come from? I
quote
don't
unquote
remember.
mean dog. Not that they're mean, but in real life. But in the movie it was like a mean dog, I guess, sent to protect or do bidding
Mhm.
for
Yeah,
Damien. But I'm pretty sure it showed up at the very first scene, the birthday party scene where the his present nanny, jumps off the house.
yeah.
That was very, did you ever see, oh gosh, the Jinx? That was very, the
I
Jinx.
don't think so.
Anyway, ugh.
Okay,
Anywho,
so another okay,
you
so
need to
I
watch
love
the
the
Jinx. Robert
photographer.
Durst.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very
Uh
Robert Durst.
the photographer, and I'm trying to find
His name was
oh, it's
in the
David.
movie.
It was
Yeah, Keith
Jen.
Jennings,
Yeah.
and so he is taking pictures.
Mhm.
Of course, this birthday party, I guess it really was like he was kind of famous. I mean, he was an ambassador in
Yep.
London. For like he was a United States ambassador in London, and so this photographer is like there working the party and like
Mhm.
taking photographs of the party,
Yes.
and that's where you meet him. So
Yes, and he starts to piece things together. He's the first person to see, okay, something is amiss with these photos that he took.
yeah.
And
Because
then
when he's developing, like he can
yeah,
see um yeah, like the light or the way it makes it look like you could, because the not, nanny hangs herself, and so you can actually in his pictures before she's even passed, it's like you can see it, like it's like a
mhm,
premonition type
yeah.
situation.
And I think he sees a premonition of himself later, doesn't he, in a
Oh
photo?
yeah, oh
Yeah.
yeah, he sees it.
Um, and then I really like his character, but do you know who he kind of reminds me of? He
Who?
kind of reminds me of the goofy character from Notting Hill.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
you know,
Yes,
like me. So,
yes,
but
that
anyway,
guy.
but so he sees it and he tries to warn Robert, and then the scary priest tries to also warn Robert, and he was
Father Brennan, yes.
yes, and
And
so
he's a good priest. He's just
he is,
freaking
but
Robert
he got
out.
yes, but didn't he kinda because we saw him or a character playing him in the prequel too. He just kinda he
Yes.
carried yeah, he was carried over into the prequel as well. So,
Yeah.
he knew what was really happening with
With Damien being the Antichrist.
yes, yes. So, if you haven't seen the prequel, it's all about the mom and, the story of the mom. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Um so anyway, like at the very well, we don't want to spoil the prequel, but I think that that flows together really nicely. All
Mm-hmm.
right, so we've got that going, and then another scene I kind of wanted to break apart is the baboon scene, and this is like my nightmare, seriously, because
Baboons in general or the scene?
I hate those car drive-throughs.
Oh,
Hate
okay.
them.
So the mom takes Damien through this drive through, or takes him to a zoo, but it's got like a drive through component to
Yes.
it. And she's driving. She drove a couple different cars, but in that one scene, was she driving like their little station wagon
Yeah,
deal,
it
I
was a
think?
tiny little car, and it wasn't just the baboons, it was all the animals started going crazy,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Around Damien, yes.
Yes, yes, and, she was just she had no idea, she thought the animals had just gone nuts, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he was kinda Damien was kinda calm, I think, at first, and then he got kind of
Mm-hmm.
freaked out, but
Do you feel
it
like
was
he played freaked out? Like it's
maybe.
almost like he was like, "Oh, I better go along with this because this is
Oh,
creepy." But he
you know what I
clearly was
did
kind of like making the animals do like he was upsetting the animals.
Yeah. You know what I did read when I was researching this? They knew it was him they knew they wanted him almost automatically when he came into the room.
Mm,
And
yes.
which is kind of I don't
Did
know if
you
that's
read why?
um I don't
Okay,
know.
so when they were auditioning this kid, which his name, which he's only ever really done any Omen stuff, but Harvey Spencer Stevens, he was really young and he comes into audition, and I believe it was the Robert Donner, so he wanted him to act like he was attacking him, and this kid goes full fledged. He did not hold back, and he literally like kicked him in the groin and
Oh
tore at
goodness.
his face. And so
Yeah.
Robert Donner was like, yeah. And he hired him on the spot because like, this kid just like went at it. No, okay, another little tidbit that's interesting. This kid that played this role, had blonde hair and it was
Really?
kind of like wavy. So for this movie, they had to color his hair dark and straighten it for the movie because his hair was blonde and wavy. Isn't that weird? Like I
That
can't
is
see him now. Like the kid, I like because they thought obviously the Antichrist needs to.
mhm.
Just that whole dark thing. He didn't need to look like a little cherub.
Well,
But
I
yeah,
mean, I guess they just wanted. Well, but yeah, you're right.
they just wanted that dark
They wanted,
persona
yeah, they
on the
wanted the dark
character.
persona,
So they made
and
his hair straight and dark.
yeah, I mean, he kind of looks like. Okay,
He looks
so
creepy. I
he
mean,
does. Have you seen?
it
And
worked.
I had a whole bit that I wanted to do later.
Go ahead.
Have you seen the movie Little Evil? Little Evil.
I don't think so.
Put that on your
Little
list to watch.
Okay.
Little Evil.
Little
It's got
Evil.
Yeah, it's got Adam Scott in it and Evangeline Lilly.
I like Adam
And
Scott.
yeah, oh, I do too. I love him. But this movie it's kind of a play on the Omen, and if you even look at the poster, you'll see
hmm
why. Because
Okay.
the little boy looks like a cross between Damien and the
hmm
guy from AC/DC,
Oh.
and
Oh,
um
good.
yes, and the whole movie is about is he evil? Is he not evil? Kind of
And
like what Donner wanted to do with the Omen.
hmm
Um Okay, so just to finish out like the scenes, you talked about the archaeological aspect of it.
hmm
And that's pretty interesting. I know that you'll do a deeper dive than me. What were they trying to prove in that archaeological?
Well, they were so in the archaeological scenes, basically they were going back and showing and finding there was like the component of what had to kill the Antichrist, and there were certain, knives. They had this knife set and it had to be, Robert that killed him or whatever, but they also were finding I don't know the verbiage that they used, but remember they found in the cave or in wherever they were digging a picture of the Antichrist, and the
Oh
Antichrist
yeah,
looked
okay.
like was Damien's face. And so it was like Father Brennan saw his face and was like, oh my goodness, this is him. So it kind of all clicked together.
Mhm.
So
Well, I think it is interesting that a lot of this is adults pretty much dying mysteriously and acting crazy around this kid. I mean, he never really
mhm.
openly does anything. I mean, I
Mm-mm.
don't think Damien ever puts his hands on anybody,
No,
really. I mean,
no. Mm-mm.
yeah, it's just he just does an evil look like this, and then that's
Yeah.
it.
This kid
But
kind of reminded there is a scene, and of course it's in the remake as well with Julia Stiles, which I love Julia Stiles. I
oh, I do
love
too.
I love Liev Schreiber. I don't really like remakes typically, but it was a good one and I like them. But anyway, the scene is Damien's, in the house with his mom. His mom, for some reason, is standing on a ledge or a chair that's near a ledge that's in this. They've got this huge house and she's watering hanging plants. I mean, this huge house has people to do that for one thing, okay? But he comes by with his tricycle and knocks her, and you know what's going to happen even
Yeah.
before. I
Oh, I
mean,
remember that. Yeah.
yeah, and he just kind of looks, and then she's like, Damien, help me. And of course, he's like, bye. I
Oh my
mean,
god.
so he never really, quote unquote, did anything to anyone, but yeah, he definitely knocked his mom, off her chair while she's watering these plants for no reason, you
Yeah.
know. And then it doesn't kill her. She's put into the hospital, and then the evil nurse Baylock has to go like take care of her at the end. You don't even see her actually die. You just know it's happening. Everything was really well done, suspense to me. Like it
Mhm.
was very like I would say Halloween-esque, but Halloween came after.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Well,
will
Richard
say
Donner.
this. Black Christmas came before this in 74. So Robert Donner definitely would have been aware of Black Christmas. So to me, everything goes back to Black Christmas. Did you ever see that one?
Yeah, I think I saw it with you.
Did I make you watch?
I think you did. But and so I agree, and like but Richard Donner had said in an interview at some point, I don't remember when, don't quote me, but it was
Uh-huh.
somewhere, that if you see the movie, if you see the monster too soon or too much, it just kind of loses the point, right?
Mhm.
And so I think that was part of his shtick. He wanted everyone to be scared and to be engaged in this movie, but he didn't want to put Freddie just out there. Like, you see Freddie go very first scene, right? Scraping his nails against the wall, and you're like, oh, that's the bad guy. But this, on the other hand, is an innocent child, and you spend the entire movie thinking, oh my goodness, can this much evil live in an innocent child? And I think that was his whole point with how he directed it, right? So, which is interesting.
Which he
But
takes you interesting because you take that ride with Robert Thorne too, because Keith, like the Jennings guy, is taking him on through that situation, which was fun. So so just the whole story, they did such a good job with the story and just the way they filmed it. And of course, you have all these wonderful scenes, like it's supposed to be London, it's supposed to be Rome, then it's supposed to be where the Holy Land. So it is, that part is cool. I do show, Damien was born at 6 a.m. on June 6th. So it was like, that was kind of the premise. It was like the 666 everywhere throughout the film. Yeah, it does talk about at the very beginning of the film that, the ambassador, Robert Thorne, his best friend from college is the president. So they kind of allude to that very early. I thought that was funny.
and then you know what happens at the end?
What? Oh, yeah. Well, at the end, he's walking away with the president and his wife.
Because he gets, the whole point was him to keep one-upping and getting
Oh,
higher
yeah.
politically.
Yeah,
And,
to put him in that position.
Yeah.
But I will say we'll talk a little bit about Omen 2 in a minute because I have to.
Yeah. I tried to watch that. I just didn't watch it.
But I do think I had a note about the nanny. Oh yeah, the nanny looks. So this was my note about the party. The party elaborate. Nanny looks at the dog and then goes and hangs herself and says, "It's all for you, Damien. It's all for you." She says it like that too.
Yeah. And then I don't know.
Oh, I do have a note about Father Brennan. So Father Brennan was trying to help Robert Thorne and he was totally freaking him out, but he told him to look for the birthmark on Damien. It would be something that he couldn't see. And then Father Thorne, or Father Brennan, he was dying of cancer and he was on the morphine, remember? And he had 47 crosses in his bedroom. 47. And then yes, and I put Mrs. Baylock. Psycho gets rid of all the servants in the house. I do have a note about turbans. So there is a scene that I need to talk about. And okay, so they're supposed to be going, the Thorns are supposed to be going to church, okay? They're getting ready. They're in their nice little Rolls Royce ambassador mobile, and she is wearing a turban, and
like
she looks
Elizabeth Taylor.
Yes, and she looks super cute. And then they all get in the car, and when Damon realizes they're getting close to the church, like he goes like the baboons on her and tears and claws at her head. That turban, it is unturbaned, and she is like, he just completely wrecks his mom, and they end up not, of course, going into church. They just think he's sick, blah blah blah. So he couldn't even go into a church. But turbans.
The first thing she did was feel his head and say, I think he's running fever, because his body temperature started rising as he was getting closer to the church.
He was getting anxious. So turbans, what's that about? Was that a 70s thing? Was it just kind of
me?
Yeah, in general. People phone us.
Okay, well, no, I mean, I have a thought.
I have a thought. Okay.
Yes, because I do love to read about vintage Hollywood things, and I have an interest in like Elizabeth Taylor and Joan Crawford. Like during the 60s and 70s, turbans were a thing. Like ladies wore the turbans. I think like Elizabeth Taylor even wore one to one of her weddings.
Was it white? I'm envisioning this.
I'm not sure.
Which wedding?
There were 7 of them, right?
Yeah.
So, but during the 70s, turbans were really in for women to wear. I think they're cute. I think they're really cute. So
I feel like her hair looked cute once he deturbaned her, though. I'm all about a good hat, maybe.
Yeah.
Sometimes not the hat that you wear to go Remember that hat that it's your Josh Gates hat?
Yeah. I wear a ball cap most of the time now, but,
Do what?
I
What'd you
wear a
say?
ball cap most of the time now,
Yeah.
but, Lee Remnick, is that how you say her name? Lee
Uh-huh.
Remnick?
I think so. Mhm.
She was a pretty good actress, and I will say she did a much better job than Julia Stiles did, and while we're on the subject, Gregory Peck did a phenomenal job, and how do you say his name? Leif Schreiber?
Leave. I think it's
Leif
Leave
Schreiber?
Schreiber. Leave.
No, I think that
No, you didn't like him.
I did
Is
not
is he too cotton weary for you?
he's too yes, that's exactly my problem. I guarantee you that's why I can't see him in anything else. But Gregory Peck was a good choice because he was always in the role of the dad or the honest man or the lawyer or the whatever, whatever. So to see him as someone who was very flawed, you know, that was interesting, I think, probably for audiences in the 70s. So
Okay, really interesting thing about Gregory Peck. So he, and this kind of hit me when you're watching the movie. Obviously, you're like, dude, like he's much older than her,
oh,
right? I
yeah.
mean, they are
Yes.
20 years apart, by the way.
Yep. Yep, you are right.
I mean,
Yep.
he was born in 1916, guys, and she was born in 1935. And he started, of course, he started his acting career pretty early. I think it was a stage career first, and then he went into film. And an interesting thing, he did all of these movies, okay? And
Mhm.
he was nominated for Oscars and blah blah blah, but Audrey Hepburn, her very first movie is with him. It's Roman Holiday. She'll even say later that he could have asked her, like she had done nothing, but he met her and I mean, he, instead of being like, nah, I don't want her, like he was like, oh, she's a nice kid, blah, blah, blah. She ends up winning an Oscar for this role. And it was so interesting because he does not win an Oscar until he does To Kill a Mockingbird, the movie. And that is his first and maybe only actual win. So
And
he had been
well deserved.
nominated. Do what? Yes,
Well,
definitely. But it was interesting. But yeah, he was 20 years older than Lee, and that was really apparent. And obviously, by the time this is made, so he was, I mean, this was 76. Yeah, he was in his 60s and he looked darn good. I will say, I know you think called him, what was that word? Yummy. But
yes,
I mean, goodness, the man was in his 60s and he looked great. So she was in her 40s in this
40s.
movie.
Yeah.
And so definitely I don't know, she looked great too, obviously, but I can't appreciate like that now to me, that kind of, I don't want to say grosses me out. I mean, there's a lot of age gaps in relationships. I think, I mean, as you get older, like 10, 15 years, but 20 years, that's a lot.
That is a lot.
I don't know if they meant for it to be that wide of a gap, but I don't know. That's a big age gap. So, anyway, I
Well,
thought that was interesting.
yeah. So how much of an age gap was between Audrey Hepburn and him and Roman Holiday?
Let me see when she was born.
Because I mean, that was pretty standard, I think. Like Fred Astaire, Ginger Rogers, wasn't there a huge age gap between them two?
I think it
Um,
happens quite a bit now. Okay, so she was born in 29, so there was, 13 years. They were
yeah.
13 years apart. So
Okay.
not as much, but definitely of course at that time of Roman
That was
Holiday, she was, very young.
yeah.
Because that was 53.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's crazy. But do what were you going to say?
Oh, I was just thinking about older movies. I think that happened more often because I think they would put women, speaking of heifers, I think they'd put women out to pasture after the name of or after the age of 30 was
Mhm.
usually back in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. So, and then they would just keep churning out these younger stars, but then these older established actors like, oh, what was his name? What was his name? It was, um, Katharine Hepburn and Tracy what was his
Oh,
I can't even
goodness.
think now. Katharine Hepburn and the star she was
Spencer
all
Tracy.
Spencer
Spencer.
Tracy, that's what it was. There was a huge age gap between them too, right?
Mhm.
So, it was like the older guys, I guess, got to keep their place in Hollywood, and then they just kept turning out younger stars. And so I think a 20-year age gap between them was just par for the course. That's how Hollywood rolled at the time. Still
Yeah,
does.
still
And
does. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, but I do think it's interesting. And okay, so me and you just went to watch The Devil Wears Prada 2. Loved it. We
yep.
loved everything about it. Um, I do love that. I mean, shoot, why am I blanking out on her name? The
And
main
Hathaway,
star. No, uh, the main one. Oh my goodness,
you mean Meryl Streep?
Meryl Streep. Yeah, I mean she's 70 something. I mean she's 76 or
Oh,
something.
I know. She
70.
looks so good.
She does look good. And so I do appreciate the fact that, I mean, yeah, and Hathaway's, I think she's our age, right?
She is. She's
According to my third graders, 29, 29.
yeah.
And don't even laugh about it. But anyway, but yeah, I think things are getting better for women as far as age and appropriate roles. And does that make sense?
Yeah. I think you're right. So in this particular movie, I think all the women characters and actors were kind of second bananas, and the main people were, of course, Damien and Robert, and then I
The
think
photographer,
yeah, I think they
Father
had
Brennan,
better
yeah.
hearts than the three women. The three women were just
Yes.
kind of like, woohoo, whatever,
Yeah,
So
I mean, you had Miss Baylock, who was a psycho nanny just trying to protect Damien and for the Antichrist. And you had the mom who she's just being lied to and hoodwinked and oh, you're fine. She thinks she's going crazy. She's just being protected like a child. She's being treated like a child. Let's put it that way.
and maybe
Yeah.
that's just a Donner thing because let's just call it what it is. I mean, there was only 2 girl Goonies, and they were
Yeah.
only Goonies by default. So
Yes.
it
Yes.
was the pretty popular girl and the quote unquote best friend, and those were the only 2 female Goonies.
I
So
think
he didn't.
now it's so much better. If the Goonies was remade, it'd probably be like an all-girl Goonies, like they did with the Ghostbusters. Did you see the all-girl
Oh, I
Ghostbusters?
love that. That was, and I don't usually like remakes
I
either,
know.
but like
It's so funny.
we all loved that remake of the
I
Ghostbusters.
think
All
I just absolutely love like what's her name? Kate McKinnon.
yes. When
Oh my
she's
goodness.
singing all night long or whatever it was.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness.
Okay,
Okay.
I had some more notes.
Yeah, you wanted to talk
Interest
about the sequels, right?
well, interesting enough, I want to finish my notes real fast. So I write down the hospital where Damien was burned. Of course, it had to burned down. So then, when they're trying to find out everything, they can't.
Right.
Jennings and Thorne, they go back to Rome to try to figure this all out. Okay, and then they end up going to a monastery in. I wrote this down, San Monica. I don't know. And then they find a grave, and it turns out they find the baby was bludgeoned to death, basically
Yeah, that
killed.
was a hard scene to
That
watch.
was horrible. And the mom's body, the skeleton of the quote unquote mom that bore Damien, is a jackal.
Yeah.
Um, just totally freaky. And then you do have the dogs, the chimpanzees, just totally ridiculous. Um, oh, Kathy, you do see her. So Kathy literally is thrown out the window by Mrs. Barkley. I had Barkley. And she, is it Baylock or Barkley?
It's Baylock.
I am crazy. I must have been like falling asleep. But she's thrown out the window, remember? And she lands on an ambulance. Like
Mm-hmm.
they kill her.
Yeah. But did they redo that scene in the Julia Stiles movie where she is thrown out the window or not?
Yes. It
They
seems
do
like that
redo.
one was redone.
I
And
need to
Jennings
rewatch
is decapitated.
the
He
what?
loses it. That was a gruesome scene. Jennings is decapitated. That
Oh,
was
that's
one of the
right.
more
Yes. Yes.
gruesome scenes. So there
And
were a few
he saw
gruesome.
that in his photos. Remember?
Yes. And just like Father Brennan, he saw where Father Brennan was like, what do you call that? Where you're impaled. He was impaled.
Chandelier or something.
Yes. There was some interesting little tidbits like during filming, this is weird, okay? During filming, the hotel where they stayed was bombed by the IRA. Just
Oh
FYI.
yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. And then the plane that flew Gregory Peck in was hit by lightning. They had some weird little tidbits happening. And then there was another lightning strike that happened to the crew as well. But yeah, there was some weird stuff. Nobody there's not like a poltergeist like curse or cursed film situation, but there was just some interesting things on this film set.
Wait, no, I think there is an episode of Cursed Films on the
On
Omen.
this? I
Yeah,
don't
on
yeah.
Prime Video because I think it was summer before last. It was when we had first started Scary Heifers. I think I watched like all of those in a row. And yes, you're right. The one that everyone thinks about is Poltergeist
Poltergeist.
because they used real skeletons and
Hmm.
did not tell the stars, I don't think.
No.
Uh, and then, of course, the murder of Dominic Dunn, or Dominique, however you say
Dominique.
her name. And then, of course, that poor little girl that,
Hmm.
what it was her name in real life? I don't
Oh, Heather.
Rourke. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Heather
So
Rourke.
that one, that takes the cake on cursed movies. Besides the Twilight Zone movie, that one is pretty well known for being a cursed set.
Or that one, I don't even remember watching it, but the serpent and the something, that one.
Yes, that okay. I think I sent you that to watch because remember I was watching all those at the same time. So the Serpent and the Rainbow, which I knew nothing about that movie, but you and I were on a big Scream kick at the time. And I was like,
Hmm.
"Do you know that he made this movie too?" And you're like, "No." So I watched it and it was all about zombies. And it was pretty good, but apparently there was some cursed stuff going on behind the scenes on that one too.
Yeah. I don't really like, I don't know. Do you believe in curses?
I believe in coincidences, which really actually is part of the shtick for the Omen. It's like, are these a lot of coincidences, or is this a curse, right? I don't
I,
know.
I don't believe in too much
Yeah,
coincidence.
I mean, you could call anything. Oh man, I stepped on a nail. I must be cursed. Da da da.
Yeah. I don't,
But
yeah. I
yeah,
think on a movie set, there's so many people involved. There's so many, I don't know. I remember even an interview with like about the poltergeist curse, even. Oh gosh, what's his name? Craig Nielsen.
mhm.
He's like, there's no curse, because there's like a whole documentary that's really interesting on her death, Heather's death.
Yeah, that is
Um, that's
sad.
so sad because she was just, but she had had chronic issues and just misdiagnoses her
Yeah,
whole life,
yeah,
unfortunately. But anyway, this movie, do you have more notes as far
yeah.
as something like, okay, get into your notes.
Oh, okay. All right. So box office wise, they only spent 2.8 million and then they made over
Hmm.
60 million. So it ended up being
Yes.
one of the highest grossing films of 1976. And
Hmm.
so it kind of capitalized on The Exorcist, but it also propelled this horror movie genre. Like everybody started, all these movie studios started trying to find their own Exorcist or trying to find their own Omen, and that's probably how we ended up with that movie you like so much. What's it called? The House. What is it? Amityville Horror.
Oh, the
Yeah,
Ambie. Hmm.
yeah. Like, I mean, they all were kind of direct descendants of each other, I think. And then, of
Hmm.
course, once you get into the 80s, we get a whole nother kind of terror. And we kind of get past that, you know, uh, that possession, horror, religious type stuff. And we get more
Uh,
into the Freddy Krueger and the Jason
yes.
and the
I think you
uh,
get into slasher films,
slasher.
like,
Yes.
yeah,
And 80s is
slumber
the
party films to
slumber
me.
party films. You're right. You're right. And then of course you've got outliers still, like Children of the Corn, which you could probably squarely put Children of the Corn in the center of the 80s slashers and the think
Yeah.
pieces of the
Well,
70s,
well,
right?
all the Stephen Kings, yes. I mean, because he was, oh gosh, The Shining. I mean, he was definitely the master of like, to me, like mystery, horror, suspense, all of it rolled into one. So,
I got to
I
tell you
think he
this.
bridges the gap there. Yeah, what? Sorry.
So, my cousins have a farm pretty near my grandpa's old farm. They have a huge farm, and they grow corn, lots of corn, and they're pretty famous around here. And so my cousin, who has the funniest sense of humor, he gets a sign that says "Beware of children" or "Look out for children." I don't know. I'm fixing to go find it. I told my other cousin, I said, I'm going to go out there and take a picture of it because it's right in front of the cornfield, and it's like "Beware of children" or "Look for children" or something like that. And it is
Yikes.
so hilarious. And they just put the sign out there, and people have been stopping on the side of the
To
highway to
look for
get out
these
and to
children.
take pictures of this sign,
Oh
so
gosh.
yeah,
That's hilarious.
yeah, it is. We did a scary Heifers on Children of the Corn.
Yes, we
And
did. I don't know where it went. I didn't save those. I don't have like tons of memory. So, yeah, if it didn't get submitted a certain way through my, anyway. Technical deals, technical deals. What?
so, okay, so one question
Uh-huh.
I down in my notes was,
Okay.
do people still name their children Damien? Is that still a popular name? And in fact, it is. And in fact, not too long ago, I was in a store and I heard someone hollering Damien, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what? And it was a child named Damien.
Well,
So the name never
yes.
disappeared, and people still use that name.
It is interesting because you had something in your notes and I did too about obviously Damien Eccles, the West Memphis 3 deal, that was
Yeah.
in the 90s. And the question, do you think that he was perceived as even worse and was Damien named Damien because but he would
He
have
was
come first.
named
His
after a priest, or he named himself after a Catholic priest named
yeah.
Damien, didn't he? So
Yes.
he didn't name himself after the Omen child. That just
Yeah.
was a coincidence. And then when
Coincidence.
all that crazy stuff happened, and then his name happened to be Damien, everyone
I was like,
went,
that was the Antichrist name. Well,
yeah,
and he definitely, I will say, not that we all know, go back and listen to our West Memphis 3. We all know who I think the real culprit was, but I don't think it was Damien Eccles, but he did definitely live up to his name at that time. He put out that persona of scary. Damien
yep,
Eccles did.
yep,
So he definitely, even though he claimed to yeah, if he said it was a priest name, he definitely was trying to look like, the goth and evil Damien because he had that black straight hair too.
yeah. Okay, so the only other things that I had in my notes
Hmm.
was just about the time period itself in the 1970s, because, you know, Watergate had just happened at that time. And you and I weren't born yet because we are so young.
We
But
sure were. I'm
yeah,
29.
yeah.
29.
But the Cold War was going on. And also, there was
The Cold War is always going on.
yeah, that's true. But
I'm not
those
laughing about that.
play, of course, things that are happening in the world and politics
Hmm.
play into what's going on in movies, right? So that's
Hmm.
interesting. And also during that time in the 70s, evangelical Christianity was surging, right? Even though I really feel like the writer Seltzer probably took the Catholic um take on the Antichrist as far as his context for this movie and
Hmm.
the Catholic fears of the Antichrist, right?
Hmm.
Um, and because it was because there's the priests and the Catholic hospital and all that stuff,
Hmm.
right? So I mean, it tapped into fears that people had. And it's also, what if the Antichrist was born in this day and age, and what if he was born into a very wealthy family, right? All that kind of stuff. So and the studios did think that they might get in trouble for putting this movie out there, right? they
Hmm.
they were they were afraid they would be accused of blasphemy and things like that. But I think that Richard Donner, the way he handled it, they didn't have to deal with a whole lot of that because it wasn't as just kind of in your face kind of monster and whatnot.
Yeah.
It was pretty subdued, right? I think it was well done, and I
Yeah.
think that even to this day, it is still worth a watch. It's 50 years old next month.
Hmm.
I think
Yeah.
it is still as fresh as it was 50 years ago.
It could be fresher.
It could be fresher.
No, and I was just thinking also when The Exorcist came out, it was, I mean, it was shocking. And if
Yeah,
you look at that movie, obviously those scenes, it's a little girl and the crucifix and there was, I mean,
it was
people,
shocking,
yes,
shocking.
people were vomiting and passing out in the theaters. So, yeah, this one was definitely like I can appreciate it was cool with the whole
Subdued
like
nature.
scene, yeah, but it was like definitely like we're not gonna go for the shock factor. We're gonna go for just a real scary, and it really only had, like I said, it really only had a few really shocking, scary scenes with the whole Father Brennan's death, Catherine's death, Jenny's death, like that. Those were pretty shocking, but
Yeah.
nothing else was really like gory, just
Mhm.
trying to desensitize people. Like it wasn't like in your face, like that type of thing. So it was just subtly good, and I really love a movie that does have a backstory. It's like this kid is evil, but this
Mhm.
is why. Like there's just so much like instead of just like, oh, it's it's Megan, you know.
It's Megan.
I
Oh my
don't know.
gosh. Speaking of sequels, that was awful.
Oh.
That was the craziest sequel I've ever
Yeah.
seen.
It definitely Devil Wears Prada too. I will say that one was a good
Oh, that
sequel.
one was like,
Sequels are
as you
tough.
say, yeah. Well, as you always say, chef's kiss. Oh, I love
Mm,
The Devil Wears Prada too. So
that was
good.
good. People go see that one for sure. But I did watch. I will talk about. So this is interesting to me because we're talking. This movie was out in '76. Okay.
Hmm.
Well, they put out the sequel in '78, and all of a sudden, Damien's like 14, 15 years old. And
Right.
then they have a third one, and Damien's fully grown and still going, still evil. And now he's Sam. Is it O'Neill or Neil? I think it's Sam Neill. And
It's
that is
yeah.
1981. So really quickly, Damien went from being 5 in '76, and now he's 30 in in '81. It's
Mhm.
like they quickly got these sequels out. But and I did watch all of. I have not finished the Sam Neill one, the third one, but I will say Omen 2, you said you didn't like it, but I kind of liked it. That the kid that played the kind of teenage
Mhm.
Damien was definitely like a little crap in this one. Like, it's like I
Yeah.
mean, he did a good job, and it was really interesting because it was like Damien had gone to live with Robert's brother who ran Thorn Industries, and then and he's got this step aunt that's just really cool, and then you find out the whole time that she was part of this whole
Mhm.
antichrist movement and helping him to succeed, and then the rest of the family dies and he runs Thorn Industries, ultimately, and then by Omen 3 he's Sam Neill, a fully grown man running Thorn Industries. But anyway, it's just interesting that they saw, well, they probably were like, hey, this made 60 million bucks and cost us, under 3. Let's do some more of this. This was a hit, but and then there's been a lot of and obviously we went to see the prequel the weekend that it came out. So it got us. It was good.
I
I,
I
I
liked it. I mean, because I thought it was very thorough. I thought it was just interesting. It was
yeah.
well done.
Well, we broke down kind of everything, I feel like, but what didn't work for me was the turbine usage.
Yeah.
Turbine, that didn't work for me. Everything else, I really love this movie. Like thinking back on this movie, everything else worked for me. Did anything not work for you in this film?
Um, I mean, I've seen it so many times. through the last what 30 years, you know?
Mhm.
I mean, it's always been one that I'll go back to and watch again, especially if it's been a few years since I've seen it, because I like the mystery aspect of it. I guess what I don't like is the fact that I really was disappointed that the Robert Thorne character died at the end, because I
Yeah.
really liked that character. And it's like you've been through this whole mess, this whole movie with him, just for him to die at the end of the movie.
Mhm.
That didn't work for me, but then again, a lot of movies do end that way, right? And then you can't get to the sequel unless Damien moves up in the
Mhm.
social ranks, and so
And
that
Liz.
and
Mhm.
lives, right? You know? And I think that there is a point at the very end of the movie, and even the sequel, or not the sequel, but the remake, where you're like, "Oh my gosh, are they gonna change the ending?" Right? No.
Mhm. Oh,
No, you
yeah.
know, and I think that's the only thing. It was a bad ending, but I think it was meant to
It
be
had to be.
that
Yeah.
way. It had to be.
Like you had to be. And in that ending, and we really didn't get too much into it, but like Robert Thorne, he knows that he's the one that has to quote unquote kill Damien, and he's struggling. I mean, he's got this whole kit, he's got Damien, the police are onto him now, and of course the police think he's just gone crazy. And anyway, so he ends up getting killed by the police or whatever, and before he can kill Damien. But he is struggling, like, not, he's raised this kid, even though this kid, I mean, this kid was part of a situation that killed his real child, but he is still, I mean, it's still a 5-year-old kid. So it's kind of that whole, definitely so many biblical, situations going on. And Abraham and I mean, it's just like, gosh, how do you kill a kid,
Yeah,
like.
and then, at the same time, I think, and I read this somewhere too, I think Gregory Peck brought that real emotion because he was going through a horrible time in his own personal life with his own child passing away, so I think that the grief and the fear and the whatever that we see, and why his portrayal in that movie is just so honest, is because it came from such an honest place,
Mhm.
which makes me even more sad, about that whole thing, because I felt bad for him in that movie,
Yeah.
and I think, Lee Remick or whatever, I think that she, did a good job going from, clueless mom to, at the end, she keeps thinking, "Okay, is this my fault? Oh, wait,
Mhm.
where did this baby come from? I've been lied to this whole time." Does she ever find out the truth, actually?
I don't
Erin?
think so.
I don't think
Mm-mm.
she
He
does.
he he never tells her, gets the opportunity
Yeah.
to
So the whole
tell
time
her.
she's just thinking, is this something
She
that
thinks she's gone crazy.
yeah,
Hmm.
she thinks either she's going crazy or there's something she didn't
Yeah.
do correctly. And so
Uh-huh.
it's tragic. It's just a very tragic tale for the
Yeah,
parents.
because it's funny, because I mean, not funny, but she says, I feel like he's not mine. Like, I look at him and he's not mine. And so I must need to see and she asked Robert to get her a psychiatrist.
Yeah.
So it's like she knew, I mean, even though she didn't know, she knew deep within herself. And they say that our children, quote unquote, our babies carry our DNA in them, that they get from us, from mothers. Mothers know. Mothers know. We just know stuff anyway. Like, I know
Yeah.
right now what's going on with
Yeah,
Ed.
I know, right? How Poe's in there messing up my kitchen. He's probably in there cooking something
Yeah.
and not using the trash can or the sink, just laying stuff out. So
Gonna
that's what's
be it's gonna be a mess in there. Well,
happening.
this movie, if we could give it, I don't even know, if you're young, what do you, what do young people look at? Rotten Tomato scores? I mean, we used to go by the Siskel and Ebert, right? Two thumbs up,
Yeah.
but this was a good movie. It came out to mixed reviews. Obviously, it made $1 billion, created an awesome franchise. Uh, we're talking about it and thoroughly enjoyed a movie made 50 years ago, better than the one made in 2006.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think that says a lot. So, oh, and he lived, Gregory Peck, he passed away in 2003.
Well,
So he was like
he
80.
got up there, didn't he?
Yeah, he was like 87. And then poor Lee Remick, so she was, 20 years younger, and she died in 91. So she
Oh.
died 12 years sooner than Gregory Peck, actually. Isn't that sad? And then
Mhm.
and she was only 50, she was in her 50s. Like
Mm.
she was like 53 or 55 or something like that.
Yeah.
And then yeah, 56 it looks like. So and then that David Warner, the Jennings, a character, he lived for a long time, but he died in 22, and I really liked him in all his films. So it did say that Harvey Spencer Stevens, the guy that played Damien, when I looked up what he had done. So again, he had only done some sequel work, I guess, for the franchise, but he had owned and ran a limo service. And I think he's in investments and land development at the moment, but
Mm.
he is out there. He has my birthday,
Hmm.
but not the year. He was 10 years older than me. So we were both born on the same day, 10 years apart. Isn't that weird?
Interesting.
Little
That is,
tidbit, little
yeah.
tidbit there. So this was fun. You're
Yeah.
yawning, really?
No, it's just, I mean,
You've had coffee.
I
Get your
have.
coffee. Get
Yeah.
your coffee on. Thank you for doing. Is that your
That
phone?
was, oh, and of course that was Bo, and he knows I'm
Okay.
podcasting.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. But no, this was great. What movie do you want to do next?
I don't know. We'll just have to think about that.
Yeah.
We'll have to
Yeah.
decide. But yeah, this is fun. This is gonna be out coming to the channel very
Mm-hmm.
quickly. And I appreciate you guys for listening. And stay tuned. I am working on Slender Man. Slender Man is coming. Oh, and I didn't plug the live show. The live show. Please get your tickets to the live show. Amber's gonna come to the show, aren't you?
Yes, of course. And
It's
I
I'm
may
scared.
wear a scary heifer t-shirt
Okay.
instead.
The live show is Saturday, July 11th, and it is in Malvern, Arkansas at the historic Ritz Theater. And the theater has such a presence. It's beautiful. It's been totally redone. It's a beautiful theater, but it has a backstory just like the Omen. So,
Mhm.
so definitely come to the live show.
Yes, yes, definitely. We'll be there and it'll be fun.
Yeah. Fun. So thank you guys so much for listening and being with
Thank
us
you.
today.
Thank you,
I'll,
thank you.
yeah, stay tuned for more scary or heifers, not together.
Scary
Bye.
heifers. Love ya. Bye.